I've encountered entitled individuals in the past, but what I saw on our community shuttle yesterday morning was unbelievable. The bus came to a sharp stop with a screech as a high-pitched voice pierced the morning conversation. Move immediately. That seat is mine because I'm special. The whole bus went quiet as we all looked to see Deborah Wellington, or as everyone in Pine Grove Estates knows her, Karen, standing over a young black teenager who appeared totally shocked. The poor kid couldn't have been more than 14, holding his backpack while this adult woman stood over him, her face twisted with privilege. Within a matter of minutes, everyone was taking out their phones and someone had already called the police. I will never forget seeing Karen's expression of shock as she was escorted off the bus by the officers, still cursing her rights while the rest of us sat in stunned silence. I ought to step back and tell you that our neighborhood Pine Grove Estates has been held in the grip of Karen Wellington for almost 3 years. Our community is treated like her own personal thief as HOA president. I had moved in 8 months ago because of the good schools and properly maintained properties, but soon found out that these advantages were purchased at the cost of Karen's constant monitoring. She's the kind who takes the height of the grass with a ruler and posts threatening notices if your garbage can is left on the curb 20 minutes longer than it should be. She recently actually caught the Johnsons for having a bird feeder that was not an approved color. Her favorite pastime seems to be patrolling the neighborhood amenities, reprimanding children for running too fast to the pool or using the clubhouse without what she calls proper authorization. When our HOA introduced a neighborhood shuttle service last month to help residents get to the shopping center and provide transportation for students to the nearby schools, most of us were thrilled. It was a good utilization of our dues and helped alleviate traffic. Karen, however, saw it as immediately another area to dominate. She demanded special board member priority, even though there was no such policy, and made sure everyone remembered that she had been the driving force behind implementing the service despite having voted against it initially. Yesterday morning was especially rainy and I chose to ride the shuttle instead of driving in the rain. I was reading through emails on my phone when I saw Jamal Harris get on the bus. Jamal and his mother had recently moved to Pine Grove a couple of months prior and I'd seen them for a brief moment at the community barbecue. He's a nice reserved kid who keeps mostly to himself. He took a seat near the front, which made sense given the slippery conditions, easier to hold on and get off when needed. The bus was about half full with plenty of open seats throughout. 3 stops later the doors opened and in stormed Karen, her designer raincoat dripping onto the floor. She scanned the bus with that perpetual scowl of hers and immediately zeroed in on Jamal. Without even a moment's delay, she walked up to him and told him in a voice that could be heard by all, "You have to get up. I'm a board member and I need priority seating." Jamal looked up from his book, obviously perplexed. He looked around at all the vacant seats, then answered in a courteous voice, "Ma'am, there are empty seats over there and over there too." That's when Karen's face went from entitled to furious. Her face turned red as she shouted, "Do you know who I am? I own this neighborhood. I'm more important than some adolescent who probably doesn't even attend here." The whole bus fell silent. I could feel my stomach knotting up as I understood what was occurring. Our driver, Mike, a retired man who comes in to volunteer for the morning shift, turned around and shouted, "Ma'am, take another seat. There are plenty of them. And we must keep to schedule." Karen was not giving way though. She started lecturing Jamal on respecting authority and recognizing his place, all while standing over him threateningly. When Jamal still wouldn't budge, and why would he? Karen's rant continued to worsen. This is precisely the problem with children these days. No respect. I'm the president of the HOA. I'm better than you. At this juncture, a number of passengers, myself included, had taken out their phones and began recording. The little boy looked like he was horrified, attempting to shrink himself smaller in his chair as this grown woman berated him in public. That is when Sarah Rodriguez, whose daughter goes to school with Jamal, stood up out of her chair a few rows away. "Karen, that is enough. Let the boy be. He came first and you are making a fool out of yourself and our community." Karen spun around briefly, amazed someone would push her. "Mind your business. None of your concern," she barked. But Sarah stood her ground. "Harassing a child on a neighborhood shuttle makes everyone's business." Other people chimed in as well.
"Yeah, leave him alone,"
called someone from the rear. "There are plenty of other seats," muttered another passenger. Mike brought the bus to the side of the road and stood up. "Ma'am, I need you to move to another seat right now or get out of the bus. You're causing a disruption." Karen's outrage only increased. She began pointing fingers at Jamal, saying that he was disruptive and threatening her, although he had hardly spoken a word and sat throughout the whole altercation. This is discrimination against board members. Karen stated, which could have been funny if it weren't so terrible. I'm calling the police, she said, taking out her phone, but Mike got to it first. I'm calling law enforcement now, he said in a calm voice, because we have a passenger causing a disturbance and refusing to comply with shuttle rules. A few people nodded in agreement, and I could see Karen's confidence begin to shake as she saw that the situation wasn't in her favor. During the wait for the police, Karen attempted a change of tack, shouting loudly to anyone who would listen about how she was being attacked and about how certain individuals were ruining the standards of the neighborhood. It was clear what she was doing, attempting to rebrand herself as the victim instead of the perpetrator. But she had made a fatal mistake. Nearly everyone on that bus had been subjected to Karen's dictatorship in some way, and now they had a chance to oppose it. By the time two officers arrived approximately 10 minutes after the incident, Karen had rushed to them immediately, blurting out a garbled account in which she was politely asking to be seated and was subjected to abusive treatment from Jamal and riotous behavior by the other riders. The officers heard her out, then asked to talk with Mike and review any tape of the incident. At least 8 of us, including myself, had videos recording the whole confrontation from various angles. The proof was overwhelming. One of the officers told us, "Ma'am, after they watched the tapes, based on what we're seeing and the statements from witnesses, you were the aggressor in this situation. You verbally harassed a minor and caused a public disturbance." Karen's jaw dropped open in shock. "That's ludicrous. Do you know who I am? I am the president of the Pine Grove Estates, HOA. The officer was unmoved. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to request that you go outside with us." What transpired next stunned everyone on the bus. Karen refused to go out willingly, claiming she had rights and asking to speak to the supervisor of the officer. When they tried to walk her away, she ended up trying to pull free herself, screaming louder. "That's assault. I'm being harassed. 911, I must call 911. The idiocy of needing to call emergency services while there were already officers on the scene didn't catch up to her. The police had evidently reached their breaking point. "Deborah Wellington, you have been taken into custody for disorderly conduct, false accusations, and resisting an officer." While they were handcuffing her, the expression of absolute shock on Karen's face was something that I will never forget. Her indignation quickly gave way to panic as reality set in. "This will destroy my reputation, you can't do this. I'm the president of the HOA, she kept saying as if that position gave her immunity from laws everyone else had to follow. The rest of us got off the bus while the police handled Karen. I saw Jamal standing on the sidewalk looking shaken but still dignified. Several neighbors approached him, offering comfort and apologizing for what he'd gone through. "You did nothing wrong," I overheard Sarah tell him. "You stood your ground respectfully, and that took courage." For his part, Jamal acted with great dignity for one so young. The punishment for Karen came quickly. At an emergency HOA meeting convened that evening, she was suspended immediately from the board pending a full vote for removal. The next week, she appeared in court where she was fined $2,500 for her behavior, ordered to serve 100 hours of community service, and placed on 6 months probation. But the worst blow came when her law firm, yes, ironically, Karen was a lawyer, put her on unpaid leave after the video went viral with over 3 million hits. When the board formally voted 11-0 to remove her from office, Karen appeared uninvited at the meeting, only to be removed while crying, "But I'm more important. This is my community.